different times. So for northern Baltimore County, also for Frederick, Carroll, northwestern Montgomery, northwestern Howard, and northwestern Harford County, this starts 6 a.m., lasts through 9 p.m. As we look at southern Baltimore County, including the city of Baltimore, central and southeast Montgomery, central and southeast Howard, and southeast Harford counties, this doesn't start until noon and then continues until 10 p.m. Here's the expected snowfall totals. You can see that now we're looking at a sliver of Maryland that includes Westminster, could see up to 6 inches. This area of pink just north of the city, 3 to 4. Here in Baltimore, 2 to 3 inches. Of course, we're going to time it out for you and then talk about the dangerous wind chills that will follow this round of winter weather coming up in just a sec. Vic?
Okay, Meg, thank you. The constant changing in temperatures is leading to numerous water main breaks around the area. Tonight, water has been restored to about 200 DPW customers in northeast Baltimore after a water main break disrupted services. It was caused after a 6-inch water main ruptured along the 3300 block of Brendan Avenue. Officials say crews worked through the night to repair the break. No word on how many homes were affected.
Well, while we prepare for another winter storm, an Arctic blast is spreading potentially life-threatening cold across the Midwest. Meteorologists warn a polar vortex will cause bone-chilling temperatures to plummet even lower, bringing threats of hypothermia and frostbite into next weekend. The winter weather has already wreaked havoc on roads. Whiteout conditions led to multiple accidents on I-90 in Pennsylvania. Wednesday, the forecast high in Chicago is to be minus 14 degrees below zero. Well, remember, you can download WJZ's weather app and keep track of our changing weather. You can get hourly, daily, and extended forecasts plus severe weather warnings. Just search WJZ Weather and get our app.
The family of an African-American teenager who died in custody on the Eastern Shore is speaking for the first time since police released video of the incident. WJZ investigator Mike Helgren reports from Greensboro on the case that's drawing national attention.
This is where an officer first approached Anton Black, setting off a tragic chain of events. And his family is still adamant that the Department of Justice needs to investigate what happened.
Holding him around the neck.
Anton Black's mother shows me the spot where she watched her 19-year-old son dying after a confrontation with police last September.
He shouldn't have died like that. And them officers need to pay. I need to make sure that they pay. And that's what I want. I want justice for my son.
Just days ago, Greensboro police released body camera video of the incident. The family's lawyer says it's not the same as what they were originally shown.
Did not show the initial stop. It did not show the struggle.
In the video, Officer Thomas Webster IV tries to take the teen into custody after a report of a kidnapping. Black runs and locks himself in a car in front of the family's home. Police break the window and tase him. They then hold him down. Just moments later, Black has trouble breathing.
That is my little brother. I've never seen him more terrified in his life.
Thank you. You were always there.
The Caroline County State's Attorney will not ask a grand jury to look into this case. The autopsy labeled the death accidental, caused by a heart defect, but said the stress of the encounter contributed to the death.
I love you.
He called out to his mom that he loved her.
I didn't hear him.
It's like he knew. Yeah. Like, I think he knew that his life was slipping away from him.
Greensboro's police chief declined to speak on camera, but told WJZ he believes his officers acted professionally and he has no problem with the Department of Justice looking into what happened. The chief says Maryland State Police still have to complete their investigation about whether his officer broke any department policies. In Greensboro, Mike Helgren, WJZ.
A doctor finds the man charged with opening fire inside a Harford County business, killing 3 people, competent to stand trial. According to our media partner, the Baltimore Sun, a tentative trial date against Radee Prince has been set for February 27th. Prince is charged with opening fire inside Advanced Granite Solutions in Edgewood in October of 2017. Prince has already been convicted in Delaware for a separate shooting on the same day.
An investigation underway into a fire in Cecil County that killed nearly a dozen dogs. It happened last night in Elkton. Fire officials tell WJZ the homeowner was able to escape, but 11 dogs were trapped and died in the fire. The home and everything inside was lost. It does not appear the home had any smoke alarms or sprinklers in place.
Well, today, hundreds of thousands of furloughed federal workers returned to work following the longest government shutdown in the nation's history.
Earlier tonight, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi invited President Trump to deliver his State of the Union address next Tuesday after it was postponed because of the shutdown.
Nicole Killian reports for WJZ. This comes as the president warns of another shutdown in 3 weeks if Congress does not reach a border security deal.
Hundreds of thousands of federal employees reported back to work Monday.
We've always been wanting to come back to work, and it's taken a long time.
Some of them saying a special prayer.
Let the government stay open after the 15th.
Last week, President Trump signed a bill to fund the government until February 15th, while talks continue on his border wall.
The table has been perfectly set by the president in order for a good deal to come together where everybody gets a little bit of something they're looking for.
A bipartisan group of 17 lawmakers from the Senate and House is set to meet Wednesday to begin negotiations. President Trump has put the odds of a border deal at less than 50-50 and says another shutdown is certainly an option. The White House says Mr. Trump could even declare a national emergency to pay for the wall if Democrats don't budge.
If they don't come back with a deal, that means Democrats get virtually nothing. That will make the president and force him to have to take executive action that does not give Democrats the things that they want.
In a statement, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi urged the president to sign any legislation congressional leaders come up with in 3 weeks to avert another shutdown. The last one lasted 35 days and cost the U.S. economy an estimated $3 billion it won't recover. Nicole Killian, CBS News, the White House.
And our state has been hit especially hard by the shutdown. And tonight, federal workers back on the job still have lingering worries that it won't last long. WJZ is live. Max McGee spoke with one of those workers. Max?
Denise, it hasn't been easy for the thousands of federal workers, many of whom live right here in the state of Maryland. I spoke to one man earlier today, and he said he applied for unemployment, but that will no longer be the case because he's back to work. It's no ordinary Monday grind for the thousands of Maryland furloughed workers. It's relief.
I'm definitely in good spirits.
This is 30-year-old Oxon Hill native Davon Russell. He's been federally employed since 2016, the same year his daughter was born.
She doesn't really understand any of this, so to her it's just being able to see daddy a lot more in the house.
Russell, a security guard at the Smithsonian, says surviving has been tough, applying for unemployment for the first time.
You're forced to pick and choose what bills are priority.
This is one of the toughest situations that we've seen for contracted out federal employees.
Jaime Contreras is the vice president of the SEIU union.
These are people who already work 2 and 3 jobs, live paycheck to paycheck, and what's happening to them, to no fault of their own, it's disgraceful.
Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings has provided resources for furloughed workers, such as a late water bill fee waiver and supplement food programs.
We can never pay them for the pain and suffering that they have been through. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we do everything in our power to make sure they get their checks as fast as we possibly can and make sure that this never happens again.
Russell says if we have another government shutdown in the next 3 weeks, he'll go back to the drawing board and be in the unemployment line. Reporting live at Mount Vernon, I'm Max McGee for WJZ.
Thank you, Max. Well, while the partial shutdown is over for now, experts say there could be a lasting impact. The Congressional Budget Office reports the U.S. economy lost about $11 billion during the 5-week shutdown. CBO expects about $8 billion to be recovered as people do get back to work. But the agency reports that the loss is mainly due to lost productivity from furloughed government workers and lost business for government contractors.
Will Governor Hogan make a bid for the White House in 2020? The New York Times is floating the idea he could be a potential challenger to President Trump. WJC is live. Kimberly Eaton asked the governor this afternoon if he'll make a run for president. Kimberly.
Well, Vic, the governor didn't say yes, but he didn't say no, instead telling us that his focus is on Maryland, but that you also never really know. Is it time to print up new campaign signs? Not quite. Governor Larry Hogan has not said he's making a bid for the White House.
Look, it's flattering that people are talking like that, but you know, I'm focused on Maryland.
But he also hasn't said that it won't happen.
You never say never. You have no idea what's going to happen over the next 2 years or what opportunities might present themselves.
Less than 2 weeks after taking the oath to serve a second term in the state's top office, the New York Times has suggested Governor Hogan as a potential opponent to President Trump in the 2020 primary. In an article published Saturday, the paper reports Hogan is scheduled to meet with Republican strategists in coming weeks. Political expert Malia Cromer says if the governor does put his name in the mix,
the question then becomes how viable is he as a candidate. It's a really difficult road. As a matter of fact, there has never been a successful primary challenger to a sitting incumbent.
She says in order for Governor Hogan or any GOP contender to have a chance, President Trump's approval numbers among Republicans need to plummet.
There will be a lot of difficulties for anybody, not just Governor Hogan, but for any challenger to President Trump in the Republican primary. But I'll say this, I think stranger things have happened.
And she says another challenge Governor Hogan could face is name recognition. She says he is well known here, but he's lesser known in key swing states like Iowa. Reporting live tonight, I'm Kimberly Eaton for WJZ.
A longtime voice on the airways here in Baltimore is being remembered today.
Radio and TV anchor Dave Durian passed away at his Baltimore County home early this morning. Durian was best known for his years as the morning show host on WBAL Radio. He was also an anchor on WBAL TV. He retired in 2012 after 2 decades at the station.
Family members say he passed away after a brief illness surrounded by family. He was 72 years old.
Really sad to hear that. Well, a Maryland man sets a new state record for catching a prehistoric long-nosed gar.
The fish weighs in at nearly 18 pounds. It was caught last Wednesday near Brookview Bridge along Marshy Hope Creek. The Department of Natural Resources says David Confair and a friend were in that area after hearing reports about a massive fish.
The previous record for the biggest long-nosed gar was set back in 2011 when a man caught a 17-pound one in the Potomac River.
Now, generally, most fishermen would tell you they don't go fishing for gar.
No.
No.
Whatever fly he was using or bait.
Yeah, it hit.
It did.
Still to come tonight on WJZ.
I'm Alex Dimitrick. Armed robbers hit this McDonald's in Hamden, and it may not be their only robbery. That story coming up on WJZ.
There's been an almost 80% increase in the number of children and teens using e-cigarettes. I'm Hillary Lane with more on how this school and schools across the country are taking steps to prevent students from vaping.
Unusual discovery. One Florida man reeled in, here we go again, during a fishing trip that led to the evacuation of a Taco Bell.
Plus calm and seasonal conditions now, but we're in for another round of winter weather come tomorrow. Meg McNamara times it out for us. And of course, a look at your morning and evening commutes. Police are trying to figure out if an armed robbery at the McDonald's in Hamden was part of an ongoing crime spree. Alex Dimitrick reports it's one of several recent robberies across the city.
6:30 Sunday night, this McDonald's on Falls Road in Hamden was robbed. Police say two men wearing masks, dressed in black, used a handgun to threaten employees. They took money and fled. The latest in a string of robberies.
Detectives from our citywide robbery unit are investigating several recent robberies that have occurred throughout the city. Most of these incidents have occurred at convenience stores or other commercial establishments.
Police aren't sure if the same robbers hit this McDonald's, but they are looking into it, because it is very similar to the robbery of a Burger King and businesses along North Avenue.
We also believe that these same suspects may be responsible for other robberies that have occurred in our neighboring jurisdictions, specifically Baltimore County and Anne Arundel County.
But armed robbery in Hamden came as a shock to some.
Oh, really? Oh, man. I haven't heard about that, but that's horrible.
Fortunately, no one's been hurt during these incidents, but we're asking anyone with information to contact police.
Before someone is hurt, Alex Dimitrick, WJZ.
A D.C. man is under arrest for inappropriately touching a female student on the University of Maryland campus. Investigators say last night Patrick Locke grabbed the victim's hand and forced her to touch his groin while she walked alone on campus. The victim was able to break free from Locke and run to safety. He has no affiliation with the university.
The man accused of causing a deadly crash in Oxon Hill that killed 3 children last year has been arraigned in court. Thomas Hawks is facing several charges, including manslaughter. Police say he was heavily intoxicated and speeding when he rear-ended a family's car at a red light last month. 5-year-old twins Alexander and Rosalie Mejia and their 1-year-old brother Isaac died at the scene. Their parents survived. Hawks is being held on $80,000 bail. Well, we have an important recall to tell you about regarding nectarines that could be contaminated with listeria. Here in Maryland, they were sold at Walmarts with the PLU sticker numbers of 4044, 3035 or 4378. Now, so far, no illnesses have been reported to date in connection with that recalled fruit. However, listeria can cause serious infections, especially in young children, elderly people, or those who may have compromised immune systems. The American Academy of Pediatrics is calling for new federal regulations to discourage children and teenagers from using e-cigarettes.
More than 20% of high school students admit using e-cigarettes within the last year. Last year alone, Hillary Lane reports to WJZ young students are now taking part in e-cigarette prevention programs.
Now, why do you think the e-cigarettes and the tobacco industry make e-cigarettes with candy flavors like gummy bears, cotton candy, or s'mores? Rocky?
It's because they want to attract a young generation.
6th graders at PS 19 in the Bronx are learning about the dangers of vaping.
It's very harmful.
They're taking part in the Catch My Breath e-cigarette and Juul prevention program, aimed at combating the skyrocketing use of e-cigarettes among American children and teenagers.
Youth who use e-cigarettes are more likely to go on to use conventional cigarettes.
The American Academy of Pediatrics released a new policy statement Monday, calling for new federal regulations, including setting a minimum age of 21 to buy the products, banning online sales and youth-targeted marketing, and stopping production of certain flavored e-cigarette products.
E-cigarettes are not safe because they contain toxic chemicals, many of which that are found in cigarettes, as well as nicotine, which we know is an addictive substance.
Catch My Breath was developed for 6th through 12th graders. It's now being taught in 20 states and reaches 30,000 students.
What I liked about the program was it did a lot of group activities that came up with ways to be self-reliant, to get away from peer pressure.
Students we spoke to seem to be getting the message.
If you know what's inside of it and if it could be harmful, then it's easier to say no.
Would you ever smoke e-cigarettes?
No. Now that I learned that it's really bad, I definitely will not do it.
The program is expected to expand to 200,000 students next year.
So pat yourselves on the back.
Hillary Lane, CBS News, Bronx, New York.
It's still Wakanda Forever. The superhero mega hit Black Panther won the biggest honor for outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture at last night's Screen Actors Guild Awards. The actors were shut out of individual nominations, but that didn't seem to matter when the cast took to the stage to accept the event's top prize.
We all know what it's like to be told that there is not a
place for you to be featured. And that is what we went to work with every day.
Will and Grace star Megan Mullally, who hosted the award show at the Shrine Auditorium, Rami Malek took home a trophy for his leading role as Freddie Mercury in Bohemian Rhapsody. Glenn Close snagged the award for leading lady for her portrayal as Joan Castleman in The Wife.
I'm agreeing with all of them. Good choices. There's just 6 days to go until Super Bowl 53.
Big game isn't the only thing that draws in viewers. Many watch for some of the biggest commercials of the year.
And now CBS is giving you the chance to vote for the all-time funniest Super Bowl commercial. Funniest Super Bowl commercial of all time.
You can cast your vote on Twitter by using hashtags for your to cast your vote for the all-time funniest Super Bowl commercial. Boomer Esiason and Daniela Rua will announce the winning commercials during the Super Bowl Greatest Commercials 2019 special. It will begin at 8 p.m. tomorrow night right here on WJZ.
And don't forget, you can watch Super Bowl 53 and all of this year's commercials. A lot of them will be funny this Sunday, right here on WJZ at 6:30.
I still like the Doritos commercial that was produced by somebody here in Maryland, the Time Machine one.
Oh, the Time Machine. I
Yes.
thought you meant the what's the one, the funny sound one?
I have no idea
I don't know.
what you're talking about.
I'll think about it during the commercial break. Still to come on WJZ, we're tracking winter weather tonight.
Meg McNamara has what we can expect to see tomorrow evening in the full forecast straight ahead. Well, I look outside right now. We are preparing for weather, but first we've got to clear up something The commercial that Denise was trying to remember.
It wasn't even Doritos.
It was What's Up, and it was for Budweiser.
I know. I'm so out of it. It wasn't even Doritos. It was What's Up, like that.
But it was all worth it just for that, Denise.
Oh, well, thank you, Meg.
Yes, so we want to get prepared for tomorrow because I think we could see some winter weather really as early as 6 a.m. So as lots of people are headed to work, we could see icy conditions already out on the roads. Let's check in, though, with our weather watchers who are, of course, tracking our current conditions. And a lot of us, well, most of us, it seems, we're down to freezing, if not below. So upper 20s. It's 28 degrees from Aberdeen Dean as of 6 minutes ago. We appreciate that. Another 28. This is from Dave in Pasadena. Clear skies about a minute ago. What about this 31 degrees? This is from Phil in Westminster. More clear skies. That's going to change, though. So 6 a.m. to noon. This is when we can expect spotty mixed precipitation in the afternoon. Whatever is falling is going to be converted to snow as temperatures will tumble. So I think in the morning we could see some periods of rain in there. We'll time it out for you in just a second. But regardless, we can expect icy conditions, particularly for the evening commute, but even in the morning as well. This winter weather advisory for the city of Baltimore, for southern Baltimore County, including central and southeastern Montgomery County, central and southeast Howard and southeast Harford counties. This advisory starts at noon and lasts till 10 p.m. It's a different story, though, as we look at northern Baltimore County and we look at Frederick, Carroll, northwest Montgomery, northwest Howard and northwest Harford counties. This actually starts at 6 a.m. and lasts until 9 p.m. So they're likely going to see a longer period of frozen precipitation. As we talk about the amounts, obviously this map reflects that. So this area of purple here that includes Westminster, 4 to 6. This area of pink north of Baltimore would be 3 to 4. The city here likely going to see right around 2 to 3 inches. Temperatures right now, BWI, we've left the 30s behind. We're now down to 29, 27 in Bel Air. 30 on the dot there in Westminster. There's this system that is headed our way. You'll notice some of this is rain at this point, but as we look further north, we see that snow and then the pink there showing us that rain snow line. We see it moving in right around midnight for western Maryland, starting off as rain, but not lasting as rain very long. So actually expecting a period of snow as early as tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. You'll notice a period of rain as temperatures briefly get above freezing before they plummet again overnight. And we really don't see that mix clear out until late tomorrow night. Tonight's temperatures bottoming out in the upper 20s. Tomorrow we're going to hit 39, but we don't stay that way very long. Temperatures really going to start to tumble once that system has moved through. And then we're talking dangerous wind chills Wednesday and Thursday.
Wow. And that's what's up.
Yeah. We've come full circle.
Still to come tonight on WJZ Winter Storm Watch. Snow and bitter cold temperatures hammer down on the Midwest. How millions across the nation are braving the cold.
Is Roger Stone ready to cooperate in the Russia investigation? What he may be willing to share with prosecutors.
Plus, returning to Neverland, how the family of Michael Jackson is responding to a controversial documentary on the late superstar.
Live from Television Hill, this is WJZ News at 6:30.
Bracing for impact. Tonight, millions of Americans are preparing for a massive winter storm that's threatening to dump inches of snow and bring potentially life-threatening cold. How the system is expected to affect Maryland. Hello, everyone. Thanks for staying with WJZ. I'm Vic Carter.
And I'm Denise Koch. More than 20 million Americans are in the path of a powerful winter storm that is lashing through parts of the Midwest.
It's threatening to bring record-smashing cold and a deep freeze across the nation this week. Today, more than 700 flights were canceled in the wake of the storm. Dean Reynolds reports for WJZ.
The Arctic blast punished travelers across the middle of the country. In Erie, Pennsylvania, whiteout conditions caused a mess on major highways.
Oh, wow, this car is not good.
Plows were working overtime in Cedar Rapids, Iowa overnight, where heavy snow made roads nearly impassable for drivers. Stunning drone video shows the impact of below-zero temperatures on Lake Erie, with ice sheets and dunes forming over 85% of the lake.
Bundle up, do what you need to do.
The bitter cold is prompting emergency warming shelters to be set up across the Midwest to the Northeast for those in need. EMTs in Milwaukee have seen an increase of 15 to 20 calls a day from the freezing temps.
Frostbites, hypothermia, and just people just being out in the elements.
Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel says the city is working around the clock to make sure warming areas are staffed and people are safe.
And the city is going to be up, running. It's going to be safe for our residents. That is our #1 goal.
Well, right now, that same storm system is heading our way.
Let's send it over to Meg McNamara, who's tracking the storm's path and the impact on your commute tomorrow. Meg.
Yes, well, the good news is that we're going to get the modified cold. So we're looking at temperatures dipping down to around 5 degrees, but the wind chill will likely be below zero. So we're going to see some very strong winds in the wake of this front. Ahead of the front, though, is the snow, the mixed precipitation. So we're talking accumulations for Baltimore, 2 to 3 inches. North of the city, most of us going to see up to 4 inches. A little sliver there, though, that could see up to 6. When we talk about the timing, 6 a.m. to noon for that mixed precipitation. Spotty, I think, to start off, and then converting to snow in the afternoon, really into the late night hours. The winter weather advisory for northern Baltimore County, for Frederick, Carroll, northwestern Montgomery, northwest Howard, and northwest Harford counties, that starts as early as 6 a.m., lasts all the way till 9 p.m. So they're looking at a longer period of winter weather, whereas southern Baltimore County, central and southeast Montgomery, central and southeast Howard, and southeast Harford counties, this advisory starts at noon and lasts until 10 p.m. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Meg. Remember to download WJZ's weather app, and you can keep track of our changing weather. You can get hourly, daily, and extended forecasts and severe weather warnings. Just search WJZ Weather and get our app.
Officers have been shot. This is live video right now of the scene. Now, the Houston Police Officers Union says that 5 officers were shot. 1 was airlifted, and it happened as they were attempting to serve a warrant. You can see there's a heavy presence of emergency vehicles there, emergency responders. We, of course, will continue to follow details on this story developing out of Houston, but for now, we do know that at least 5 officers have been shot. Details coming up.
We have an update tonight in last week's deadly bank robbery in Central Florida. Today, SunTrust Bank announced it has established a fund to offer financial support to the families of the 5 victims. 4 SunTrust employees and a customer were killed in the Sebring Bank's lobby last Wednesday. Police say 21-year-old Zephan Xavier shot the women in an apparent random act of violence. Prosecutors could seek the death penalty for Xavier, who does now face 5 counts of premeditated murder in the murder of these 5 women, all shot and killed last week in a bank in Florida.
President Trump's longtime friend and associate Roger Stone is due in court in Washington tomorrow. He rejects allegations he lied to Congress, but says he's not ruling out cooperating with prosecutors in the Russia investigation. Jeff Begay spoke with Stone inside his Florida home this weekend.
I'm not going to be convicted because I am innocent. Roger Stone is softening in his approach to the special counsel investigation that he has in the past called a witch hunt.
You seem to suggest that you were open to cooperating with the special counsel.
Well, I'm going to tell the truth no matter what. I have no intention of not telling truth. I have never not told the truth.
But Stone also slammed the FBI raid of his home Friday morning.
This was a show of force meant to intimidate me or intimidate other witnesses who they want to say certain things. I think the American people are revolted by it.
According to court papers, Stone spoke to senior Trump campaign officials about WikiLeaks' future releases of hacked Democratic Party emails. Stone, who's been friends with the president for decades, denies sharing the information with then-candidate Trump. On Sunday, Republican Senator Marco Rubio was asked whether working with WikiLeaks should be a crime.
I think certainly if you're wittingly doing it, it should be considered as such. I mean, you're participating in the work of a foreign intelligence agency.
The indictment also alleges that Stone lied in his testimony before the House Intelligence Committee, a charge Stone, a longtime Republican political operative, denies.
Is there a line you wouldn't cross to protect a president?
I'm not going to lie. I'm never going to say anything that's not truthful under oath or otherwise. That's the line.
A Taco Bell in Florida was forced to evacuate after a man visited the restaurant with a World War II hand grenade that he found while he was fishing. He was using a magnet to search the water in Ocala when he found the explosive. He put it in his trunk and drove to Taco Bell before calling police. The bomb squad was called to the scene but later gave the all clear. Police say the grenade was non-functional and no one was injured.
The family of Michael Jackson slamming a new documentary about the singer that premiered at the Sundance Film Festival. The nearly 4-hour film, Leaving Neverland, details allegations of child molestation against the king of pop. Jerika Duncan reports for WJZ with more on the film.
Michael Jackson has long been considered a pop music powerhouse, but the documentary Leaving Neverland claims the late singer used his fame to repeatedly prey upon young boys.
Judging by the faces of people who walked out of that screening, it was a heavy mood and something that people were going to be thinking about a lot.
And a nearly 4-hour film, Wade Robson and James Safechuck detail how they became friends with Jackson when they were just 7 and 10 years old. Those who've seen the movie say the men provide compelling allegations against Jackson, saying he sexually abused them for years at his Neverland ranch.
They're talking about allegations of oral sex, being forced to touch Jackson, Jackson touching them, and progressively more aggressive behavior as they got into their teenage years.
Jackson was cleared of child molestation charges involving another boy in 2005. Robson even testified on the singer's behalf. He now says he felt pressured by Jackson to keep the abuse a secret.
Every time we were together, it happened. There was no night that went by that I was with him that he didn't sexually abuse me.
In a statement, the Jackson estate called the documentary the kind of tabloid character assassination Michael Jackson endured in life and now in death. It says the film's director intentionally avoided interviewing numerous people who have unambiguously stated that he treated children with respect. A publicist for the documentary says Robson and Safechuck were not paid. TMZ captured this video of their standing ovation.
My greatest hopes too is just raising awareness for parents, for teachers, for business leaders, anybody responsible for children, to try and prevent this from happening.
Milkman in China is being hailed as a hero after catching a baby that fell from the 3rd-floor window during an apartment fire.
He was making a delivery at a supermarket when he heard a woman screaming for help. And you can see the woman perched on a window ledge holding the baby as smoke fills her apartment. That's when she suddenly dropped the 4-month-old from her arms. Fortunately, the milkman, who was there just in the nick of time, was able to catch that baby. Both baby and mom are doing fine.
Wow. Well, still to come on WJZ News at 6, a classier look for ketchup. We'll tell you how you can enter to win a limited edition bottle of caviar ketchup.
A round of winter weather to deal with tomorrow before bone-chilling temperatures set in. A look at the 7-day forecast coming up.
Today marks a somber anniversary in U.S. history. The Space Shuttle Challenger exploded 33 years ago, killing all on board. The tragedy occurred 73 seconds after liftoff from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Officials later determined that a rocket booster failure caused the fuel tank to ignite. Among the 7 crew members killed on that fateful day was Krista McCullough. She would have been the first teacher to make it to outer space.
Well, Heinz is making your ketchup fancy with caviar.
The limited edition ketchup caviar features small pearls of ketchup that are fish-free. The condiment maker announced on Twitter it will give out jars of the ketchup delicacy to 150 lucky winners. All fans have to do is respond to the Heinz tweet with the hashtags Heinz Ketchup, Caviar, and Sweepstakes.
Today is the last day to enter the Valentine's Day sweepstakes. Winners will be randomly selected tomorrow. Once again, this is not fish. This is just little pearls of ketchup.
Makes it really hard to dunk your fries, though, doesn't it?
Impossible to smash them.
And messy.
Yeah.
Here's a preview of what's coming up tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Here's a look at some of the stories we are working on tonight. More on the coldest weather in a generation for tens of millions of Americans. Howard Schultz's potential run for president as an independent candidate. And is there a link between blood pressure and dementia? A new study is out. It's all tonight on the CBS Evening News.
And here's a look at tonight's closing numbers from Wall Street, and we'll be right back. We're looking out live now. It's calm seasonal conditions, but we are in for another round of winter weather come tomorrow.
Meg McNamara times it all out for us and tells us what we can expect
Yes, indeed. Well, I think we could see at least some spotty mixed precipitation as early as 6 a.m. tomorrow. We do have a winter weather advisory. Most places looking at accumulations of 2 to 4 inches, although far north of the city more like 6 inches. Let's talk about the 7-day forecast, because once we get through the snow for tomorrow, bitterly cold temperatures will set in, and it's also the wind chill. So Wednesday is going to be very blustery in the wake of this cold front, and then Wednesday night, Thursday night, down into the single digits, so 5 degrees. Then we tack on the strong winds. We could see wind chills below 0. Back to you.
Ooh. Thank you, Meg. Still to come on WJZ, the Terps get back to work. They're looking to bounce back after a rough weekend.
Mark has the latest on the Maryland basketball team. That's coming up next in sports.
Marcus here with sports, talking Terps and a rebound.
That's right, they need one. You know, expectations have been raised down in College Park, so expecting better all the time. Maryland's having a real good season, but they are coming off a real bad weekend. They hope they got the worst out of the way after suffering that disappointing defeat on Saturday. It was a surprise knockout at the hands of unheralded Illinois in a game played in New York. It sends the Terps tumbling in the national rankings, down 8 spots to number 21 in the Associated Press poll. The frustration boiled over for Terps head coach Mark Turgeon, who was assessed a technical foul near the end of the stunning defeat. We were with the team today, and they talked about bouncing back from their second straight loss.
You know, we got to find that dog, you know, that we're back on that hunt, you know, that we were in the beginning of the season. And me personally, you know, just throwing that game away, you know, looking ahead.
We're in good position. I thought we were in great position. Now we're in good position. We just got to get back to playing well, which kids are resilient. And it'd be good to be home. You know, we haven't been home much. Students are back, expecting a great crowd, so hopefully that'll motivate us to play well.
Mark Turgeon and Eric Ayala speaking there. The Terps take on Northwestern in College Park tomorrow night. That's set for a 7 p.m. tip-off. From hoops to the Super Bowl, the Patriots and Rams getting set to play in the title game this week in Atlanta. So what's Baltimore think of the game with the Ravens not in it? Pretty sure fans in these parts are not rooting for Tom Brady in New England. But the Ravens do have a connection with the LA Rams. The two teams practiced together in Owings Mills back in August prior to their preseason game in Baltimore. That arrangement came through Rams head coach Sean McVay, who has a relationship with Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. Both played football at Miami University in Ohio. The Rams are the young upstart Super Bowl team. They are underdogs to New England, and I asked Harbaugh his thoughts on the Rams after he got a chance to see them early.
They're just really good, really well coached. They got a lot of really good players who play really hard. You watch them play, you're impressed. You watch them practice, you're impressed. And we'd like to be where they're at right now. So we're chasing them, the Patriots, and anybody else that's in front of us right now.
The Patriots and Rams arrived in Atlanta yesterday. Tonight is the Media Night Extravaganza, 6 games ahead of the game. And it is Super Bowl 53. You'll see it here on WJZ. Rams and Patriots. They'll kick it off Sunday at 6:30. Baltimore baseball fans were out in force this weekend for Orioles Fan Fest. More than 8,000 attended the annual event, which this year comes after the worst season in team history and with a new manager, new general manager, and several new players now embarking on a rebuild phase for the franchise. The event made a strong impression on those O's attending for the first time, who saw long lines of fans waiting to get in.
It's just great to see. It's everything that I've heard and that I've seen in my past with this city. But, you know, we're coming off a bad year, and to see that type of enthusiasm and support just for the new people that are here and just the franchise in general is incredible. So that was really something to behold outside.
And just about 2.5 weeks to spring training in Sarasota.
How about that?
I saw the forecast. Let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
And we'll be right back.
Coming up, winter's grip tightens. Plus, he ran Starbucks. Could he run the country? Why Howard Schultz's presidential plans are taking fire from both parties. And is there a link between blood pressure and dementia? Coming up on the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor.
We continue to follow breaking news we told you about a few moments ago out of Houston, where several police officers have been shot. Now, these are live pictures of the scene right now. The Houston Police Officers Union says that 5 officers were shot. One, we are told, was airlifted there. The suspect was in a home, and officers attempted to serve a warrant. One of those suspects is dead. The other 2 are apparently inside. And once again, several officers shot there in Houston. The emergency crews there responding. We, of course, will stay on top of the story and bring you more tonight on Eyewitness News at 11.
And also, we'll stay on top of this very cold weather that's about to hit us.
Absolutely.
For sure. That's it for us tonight. We'll be back at 11. I'm Vic Carter.
And for Meg and Mark, I'm Denise Koch. Thanks for watching WJZ, the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor, coming up next. I'm Denise Koch. 2 people were shot within 20 minutes of each other in Northwest Baltimore Monday. Officers were called to the 3900 block of West Rogers Avenue at around 2:23 p.m. for a report of a shooting. When they arrived, they say they found a 32-year-old man with a gunshot wound to his buttocks. Detectives from the citywide shooting unit are investigating this incident. If you have information, you're asked to call 410-396-2221. or Metro Crime Stoppers at 1-866-7-LOCK-UP. The victim was taken to an area hospital for treatment. And then at around 2:39 p.m., officers were called to an area hospital for a report of a walk-in shooting victim. When those officers arrived, they found a man being treated for a gunshot wound to his body. Detectives from the citywide shooting unit again working to determine where that shooting occurred. If you have information, you're asked to call 410-396-2221 or Metro Crime Stoppers, 1-866-7-LOCK-UP.